Welcome back to the show. So we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about this infrastructure bill, the first infrastructure bill. If you guys saw late yesterday, they approved the cloture vote. So they passed the first hurdle. And so now we're going to go into the amendment process. So we're going to talk about it. We do have some information. Now, we still don't have text. We don't have the text that they were talking about we would see on Monday. We haven't seen it yet. And so all we're going off is what has been leaked so far. Okay, so we have some information coming from a luncheon. The Senate Republicans had a luncheon and they discussed all this information as far as what's in this infrastructure bill. And so we have that. So we're going to take a look at that. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, I just want to remind you, if you see me in the comments section, if you see my name and you see a picture of me, make sure there's also a check mark next to my name. That signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it is someone else impersonating me. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right to it. And I have an illustration for you guys, and we're going to go over this illustration and talk about exactly what's going on when it comes to this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Okay, so we know there was a vote yesterday, and that vote looked like this: 67 yeses, 32 noes. Okay, so that was the vote count. Now, this is a cloture vote. So now they're able to debate this, offer up amendments. That's what this vote allows them to do. So they can move forward with the infrastructure bill. But the infrastructure bill has not been approved yet. They still need to go through this process. Okay, so even Mitch McConnell backed the vote. Okay, so he voted for this. Now, it's interesting because Mitch McConnell voted for this, but we're still looking. If you look at the number here, the 67, you still have 32 no's. And this could be as a result of the Trump effect. And the reason that I'm saying that is a couple of days ago, former President Trump came out and indicated, or basically we're telling Senate Republicans not to vote for this infrastructure bill and to wait until the midterms, because they'll have more leverage. Because the thought is right now, and usually this does happen, usually you're not going to have Democrats controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House. Usually it doesn't last that long. Whether you be a Democrat or Republican, if you have complete control, that only lasts for a little bit. And so usually that midterm is when we'll see a change when it comes to either the House or the Senate or even both. So President Trump, he said, why don't you guys wait and vote on this infrastructure bill after the midterms? That way you'll have more leverage. And so we did see 32 Senate Republicans say no. They said no to the cloture vote, just to move forward with the debate. So let's look at here. So the bill will provide $550 billion in new spending. Now, this is down a little bit. $550 billion. It was around 560 something billion prior to this, but now it's $550 billion. So they have cut some of the funding. We just don't know exactly what it is because we don't have the text yet. All right, so the bill is expected to include, and here's where we have the information that they discussed during this luncheon yesterday. So $110 billion to improve roads and bridges. So we anticipated that. $39 billion to modernize public transit and replace buses with zero emission vehicles. $66 billion for passenger freight rail systems, including Amtrak, or I should say passenger and freight rail systems, including Amtrak. $7.5 billion for electric vehicle charging stations. I think this is a big deal because this will really promote electric vehicles. If this portion can go through, this $7.5 billion, so that you can have more stations, more electric vehicle stations, I think more and more people will start looking at electric vehicles. Even now, there are a lot of charging stations that are out there now, but the more you have, the more people are saying, oh, I can do this. I can go charge up my vehicle while I go get a cup of coffee and wait maybe 20, 30 minutes, get back in the vehicle and head on my way. And so this is really key for our infrastructure. $17 billion towards ports, $25 billion for airport improvements. This is huge. Airport improvements. I've been talking about this. I travel a lot. And one of the things that I notice when I travel to other countries is that our airports they can't even compare to some of the airports in other countries. Just the way they look, the design, they have full-on malls in there. Some of them are a fully functioning mall, and you could go to the mall, but of course you have to go through the checkpoint to get to the mall. But it's a full mall, whereas we have like little stores and stuff here and there. But it makes sense in our airports because you have to go through the checkpoint in order to get into this area. So most people aren't going to do that if they just want to go shopping for the day. But some of these malls are set up in such a way where you can have access to a full mall. And restaurants, a bunch of restaurants and lounges. I mean, I'm telling you, when you go to out of the country, some of these airports, I was in China. I actually went to Thailand. So I had a layover in China, went to their airport, and it was, and I can't remember the name of the airport, but very impressive inside. Very, very impressive. Now, another thing when it comes to airports, it's not just the way it looks and what restaurants it has and what malls it has, but it's also technology. So we need to improve technology when it comes to our airports for our own safety, right? And so that's something else that needs to be looked at. And hopefully this $25 billion will go to help some of the infrastructure at the airport, the actual tarmac and the control towers and all that stuff. So we'll have to see what they do with the funding for airports. And this is one of those things, every time I travel, when I'm looking at the airports, I'm thinking, why don't we have this type of stuff in our country? Okay, $50 billion to better equip communities to withstand extreme weather events and cyber attacks. This is another big thing. We saw some of the cyber attacks that happened recently, these ransomware situations. And we're also looking at every year you have hurricane season and you have disasters in certain parts of the U.S. And so they want to spend $50 billion to try to retrofit these areas and prepare them for hurricane season and things like that. So I think that's a good thing. And you might think, well, I live in California, so I don't have to deal with hurricanes. Why should my tax dollars have to go to that? And I think we need to get to a place where we realize, and I know we're really divided as a country right now, but we need to get to a place where we realize, if I help people in Florida, those people can help us when we have an earthquake in California. So, it's give and take. We have to help each other out. And ultimately, if there's a major issue or a major hurricane in Florida and people are out of their home and they need emergency funding, guess what? We're all paying for that. Our tax dollars are all going towards that. So why not be proactive and try to prevent some of these major disasters by retrofitting the houses and buildings and stuff like that? So, okay, let's take a look at the next one here. $65 billion for expansion of broadband internet access. So we know that was being talked about. $55 billion here for clean drinking water, a real big issue. And we saw what happened in Flint, Michigan. So this is definitely something that needs to be addressed. $75 billion for investment in clean energy transmission. Now, I want to look at the pay-fors. Okay, so pay-fors, this is something else that we've been talking about a lot on this channel, and this is the key. Now, this is not the final text, so we don't know exactly what the pay-fors look like, but this is what the information that we have so far. So pay-fors, $200 billion of repurposed COVID-19 relief funding. So they're going to take $200 billion from there, and $49 billion, and this is from delaying the Medicare rebates. $87 billion from past and future sales of wireless spectrum space, and then some other funding here. We're talking about the enhanced unemployment. You remember some states where they were giving back the enhanced unemployment, so they're going to take that funding because that's just sitting there not being used. And then revenue generated from applying information reporting requirements for cryptocurrencies. So I don't know exactly how they're going to go about the whole cryptocurrency thing, but that is something else that's being talked about, and so we'll have to look more into that. But if you do, I mean, if you're looking at the funding here, the pay-fors, just look at the amounts that we're looking at here. We don't know exactly how much the amounts will be here, but that doesn't compare to some of the funding that we have on the left side here. So we have there's a lot of things that they want to fund, but the pay-fors don't add up at this point. So we'll have to see where else are they pulling money from. Okay, so the Senate will continue to work on the bill and prepare it for a final vote. So that's what we're going to be looking at in the next couple of weeks. And the talk is the majority leader, Chuck Schumer, says that they're going to work into the recess if they have to. Now, the senators don't go on recess until August 9th, so they have a little bit of time to work on this. But the House, they will go on recess as of Friday. And so they'll be on recess until both will be on recess. Once they go on recess, they'll be there until mid-September. So they're not going to be back for a while. We're talking about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks on recess. And so that's going to be a lot of time. Now, the House has already been advised, look, you guys are going to have to come back if we need a vote on any of these measures. So this bill that's before us, this first infrastructure bill, the second infrastructure bill, or any other bills that come up, they're going to have to report back for the vote. And so we'll have to see where that goes when it comes to the vote. But we know, we've been talking about this for a while. You have the first infrastructure bill. That's what they're talking about here. This infrastructure, the roads, bridges, and broadband. And then you have the American Families Plan. That is the human infrastructure. So that's the second bill. That's the $3.5 trillion bill. And so what they want to do with these bills is they want to have that first infrastructure bill and that second infrastructure bill go parallel at the same time. So get this one passed first, send it over to the House, get the second one passed, and then send it over to the House, and then have the House vote on both, and then send it to the president. So that's the talk right now. That's the strategy. So I want to know what you guys think about this. So let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.